If you've been by any body of water here lately, you may have noticed there's quite a few more dead fish along the water. And we have Marley Beem here to tell us about what's actually causing that.
Well, contrary to what people may be thinking, it's not really blue-green algae. It's not really high temperatures. What's really happening is a lack of oxygen in the pond. Even under good conditions, ponds don't have a lot of dissolved oxygen. We're talking anywhere from 3 to 10 parts per million of oxygen. If you can visualize the typical municipal water tower tank, that's probably going to be a 1,000,000-gallon capacity tank. So think of 3 to 10-gallon jugs sitting in the middle of that tank, and that's how scarce oxygen is.
Wow, so there's really not that much oxygen in the water anyway.
Very little.
Wow. And so what would cause the oxygen levels to actually drop?
Oxygen levels can drop very suddenly when we have a sudden die-off of algae in the pond. And by algae, more specifically, phytoplankton, the green microscopic plants that give the water the typical green color that we see in Oklahoma ponds.
How is there an easy way to test for that? I mean, if you're out at your pond, what should we be looking for?
Well, it's kind of a test by eye situation, and the best thing to do is to take an object and put it in the water, a white object, and see how long it takes to disappear from view during the middle of a sunny day. If it's less than 12 inches, that's a sign that you're at risk of possibly having a phytoplankton die-off and a low oxygen fish kill.
Okay. Is there anything that producers can do to help save their ponds?
Yes. Once you know that you're at risk, I would suggest going out every morning, early morning, that's usually a crunch time for oxygen, and looking for unusual behavior from the fish. If you see fish hanging at the surface or fish piping at the surface, that's a sign that they're probably in distress. They're probably lacking or low in oxygen in the water. So in that case, I would not dither around. I would make plans as to how to get some extra oxygen into the pond if you see the fish in worse distress. And usually that means a pump set.
Okay.
To take water from about 1 foot deep and out of the pond and spray it up or let it fall over a roll of fencing or some boards so that it breaks into drops of water. You can improvise with boat motors and propellers, brush hogs, all kinds of things, but the idea is to splash the water around, break it up into drops, and get some oxygen back into it. It's a temporary measure, but it might get you through until we finally have that long anticipated rain.
Now, if producers don't get that rain and it continues to be dry around their water source and the water goes down, this may be an opportunity also for rebuilding the pond.
That's right, especially if you have a pond where the fishing is poor and there are a lot of undesirable fish species such as bullheads or green sunfish or common carp. It may be time to just pull the plug on the pond, so to speak, and pump it dry all the way or siphon it dry. Make sure it dries out until the bottom cracks. Get your game ranger to certify that it's free of fish, and then you'd be eligible for the state farm pond stocking fingerlings, or you could go to a private hatchery. You want to truly make sure that it's totally dried, or else perhaps hit those wet spots with quicklime if you're not confident that they're going to dry out completely.
Okay.
But it is a good opportunity. Whether we have lots of ponds with this problem, and I guess whether people like it or not, we may be getting rid of some of those problem situations.
Okay, thank you very much, Marley. And by the way, we do have links to what we talked about in this segment on our website, sunup.okstate.edu.